All wrapped up at the US Open then, Graeme, and I suppose the big talking point is really Rory and dropping, 3 shots on the last 6 holes. Did he lose that or did DeChambeau win it, given the fact that DeChambeau had a 3-shot lead at the start of the day?
No, Rory lost it. I mean, he birdied 9, 10, 12 and 13 to take a 2-shot lead with 6 holes to go. So now you're the guy that's supposed to close it out. And then he birdies 15, 16 and 18. Bogeys 15, 16 and 18. The 2 significant ones, though, were 16 and 18 that opened the door for DeChambeau because Bryson was making a bogey of his own in the middle of that. So, yes, he lost it. His streak is now 10 years and counting. His last major win was in August of 2014 at the PGA Championship. That was his 4th major at that stage. And everybody was just counting up how many he was going to win. And here we are 10 years later. He's knocked on the door on several of them, but this has got to be the most bitter loss of them all.
You could see the look on his face, couldn't you, when he was in the room where they do the scorecards and things as he was watching that at the end. It was just a face full of absolute regret, and even on the 18th as well. And those short putts, those putts within 2 feet, do they haunt you? Of course they do. They must do.
Well, when you've been putting like he was earlier on in the tournament, the putter was giving him a chance to win and finally break this drought. And then it lets you down in the worst possible way. I mean, as you said, they were no more than 4 feet on all occasions. Granted, a couple of them had some pretty big break, and the one on the 18th was downhill and breaking. But still, if he just made one of those, he'd be in a 2-hole playoff. And if he'd made 2 of them, he would have won. So I don't know where he's going to go from here. I don't think we're going to hear a lot from him in the near future. But this one's got to hurt, as I said, probably as much as anything that's happened in the last 10 years, because 2 up with 6 to go, you're supposed to bring it home.
Will he win another major? I mean, and you know, these questions, and this is the cruel thing about sport, isn't it? With all the success that he's had, the money that he's made, the fact that he was the PGA Tour spokesperson against Live Golf, all of these things, every press conference he sits down now at every single major championship, this is going to come up.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible, isn't it? It's like Rafa Nadal, every time he does a press conference now, people are saying, when are you going to retire?
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things that, you know, professional athletes got to deal with, but there's a lot of scar tissue in there now, and that's what destroyed Greg Norman in the end. Could have won 11 majors, finished up winning 2, tied for first in 4 others. You know, but the scar tissue just builds up and up and up, and in the end, when it's, you know, it's real crunch time, there's that little lingering doubt in the back of your head, and that's obviously was there with Rory over those closing holes, and he just couldn't get it done. This was his best chance by far to win, and it got away. Not taking anything away from Bryson. He is box office in the majors. It's a pity he sort of plays in oblivion when he's not at a major. But boy, if we only see him 4 times a year and he produces stuff like this, more power to him. And fair to say that he had a lot of luck on the last day and throughout the championship. I mean, he hammers it off the tee, but was frequently in the wiregrass. But only one occasion in the numerous times he went offline in today's round did he actually have to play more or less out sideways. All the others, he could proceed pretty much as normal, considering the strength he's got to blast through that sort of rough.
Yeah, it comes down to, doesn't it, so often in every major championship, you know, there's one of those last crucial holes and it comes down to one shot. And we've seen it, at the Masters, I can't remember who was the 16th years ago. I'm sure that you can recall as well. But that bunker shot on 18, where, as you say, his drive's a bit wild, and then, you know, his second, he gets into the bunker, his third shot, the bunker shot, to then drop it within just a foot or two to close out that tournament. That was the shot that won it for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, 3 feet 11 inches according to the official measurement. Payne Stewart had to sink a 16-footer.
That's right.
Having hacked out of the rough and then laid up and then wedged onto the green. So, you know, Bryson was channeling all of that. He carried a Payne Stewart-style hat on the side of his bag for the whole tournament. He went to the same university that he went to here in the United States, and even though he was only a 6-year-old when Payne did his thing and won at Pinehurst, he was evoking the moment, and his shot on the last from that bunker, I think it was 55 yards in the old measurement, 50 metres, say, was just courageous. I mean, he didn't sort of try and hit a bump and run and hope to float it up to the pin. He went for it, hit it as hard as he could, and thoroughly deserved to make the win. And that wasn't an easy putt for him because it was on the opposite side of the hole to what Rory had faced. And, it had a bit of movement in it, but he hit it pretty firm and bang into the back of the hole, and he's got his second US Open.
Graeme Agars is with us at Pinehurst. So, in major championships this year with the Open still to come, of course, he is tied for 6th at the Masters, 2nd at the PGA. He wins the US Open. So even though you say he's in oblivion, I mean, whatever he's doing, he's off the practice tee, whatever he's doing, he's still playing golf that is right up there with, right today, the very best in the world.
Yeah, there are some around the place who are arguing with some justification that he's one of the few players that's actually benefited from going to the Live Tour because it's a sparse schedule, 14 events, which gives him tons of time to practice. Now, some of them don't practice as much maybe as they used to, but he practices more. And he's invented his own clubs. He's got iron heads like no other player in the world uses. He uses great big thick grips, almost like a cricket bat. His irons are all the same length. He uses a driver that's used by those who compete in the long driving contest, not by anybody who plays on the tour. So he does everything his own way, and he just loves meddling with equipment. He talks like a scientist between his caddy. I can't understand a word they're saying because they're talking on these numbers. They're talking 1030s and 90s and this and that and this and that, and somehow the shot comes out the way Bryson intends it. So, he's his own man, and the extra time he's got now that he's on the other tour.